The Switch still seems new to plenty of people, but it's like 3.5 years old now, which is like midlife crisis age in terms of a video game console. Maybe the Switch will go out and buy a sports car. But more importantly, that means that talking about the successor to the Switch is no longer totally premature and stupid. It's still a little premature and stupid, of course, but what else would you expect from a Redkwan video? Hello all 3,290 of you, I'm Redkwan, and what can the Switch 2 be? So first of all, will the Switch 2 be a Switch? And if it isn't, why am I calling it the Switch 2? Because that wouldn't make any sense. To make it less confusing, I think I'll just call it the Nintendo Upcoming System, or the Nintendo Upstem. That's probably what I'll call it. So will the Upstem be a Switch? Well, I actually think that's a pretty clear yes. One, because the Switch has done so well and it would be a little dumb not to continue with that, and two, because at this point I think it'd be really hard to make the transition back. It's like jumping in a well. It's pretty easy to actually jump in the well, I would assume, I haven't tried it personally, but it's much harder to get out. You see, the Switch obviously worked because both the people who wanted a home console wanted it, and the people who wanted a Nintendo handheld wanted it, but most importantly, the people who wanted both a Nintendo console and a Nintendo handheld really wanted it. And that's the key, because now all the people who want to play Nintendo's games wherever and whenever, and like both the on-the-go play as well as the ability to use it as a console, are going to be so attached to this idea that going back would seem like a huge downgrade. No matter how powerful it is or how cool of a feature it has, if it's locked to one environment, I think a lot of fans aren't going to be too happy about it. So, as it seems to me, Nintendo's pretty much stuck with handheld console hybrids from here on out. And I think that, as well as the fact that the Switch has done really well for Nintendo, means that the Nintendo Upstem is going to be another Switch. So I guess I probably could have just called it the Switch 2. But it's too late now. Upstem's already caught on with the masses. It's just got that ring to it, you know? It's real snappy. It's definitely possible for Nintendo to make an all-portable version like they did with the Switch Lite, because to be fair, the Switch is more of a handheld that can be plugged into a TV than a console that can be taken with you, as much as the branding would say otherwise. And the Switch Lite is pretty close to a normal Switch for the most part. And I don't think it's totally out of the question for them to do an at-home only Upstem, although I think that would have a few more issues with it, because, you know, the name Upstem implies that you can pick it up. So if the Switch's successor is going to be most likely another switchable system, what sorts of things will it change? Nintendo likes to change up a lot more than simply making something more powerful, so how will this next system continue that? What is it actually able to change? And maybe this is just me being really uncreative, but I can't think of that much you can change without making it seem like you're going backwards. The most obvious thing for Nintendo to change is the controllers, but with the controllers built into the system itself for the most part, and the system needing to be able to be held comfortably, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot you can move around. Maybe you can have holographic controllers? Or Nintendo could make the Kinect again, but good this time? You can have a mix of Nintendogs and Kinectimals. Kinectidogs. That's catchy, right? Kinectidogs? Only on Nintendo Upstem? I'm expecting a job offer from Nintendo's marketing department any day now, but seriously, I don't know what you can really change from the controller side of things, besides the basic stuff that people just wish the Switch had anyway, like analog triggers and non-drifting Joy-Cons. Maybe they can throw in some better touchscreen elements or something, or they could make the analog sticks twistable like a steering wheel. That could be cool. Or they could make the next iteration of the Power Glove. Now, wouldn't that be a twist? Or maybe it'll be a VR focus system where the base Upstem is built to be slid right into a VR headset and you build your own controllers Labo style. All of these seem incredibly likely. Or maybe Nintendo actually won't change up much of anything. Nintendo seems to be handling things a little differently with the Switch than with past systems, and I think that could mean we see less weird system ideas. Maybe we legitimately will get a new Switch that's almost the same thing as the old Switch. It sounds weird because it's so not weird, and that's not very Nintendo-like, but I think it might actually make the most sense. Maybe there are some things Nintendo could change with the system or the control setup, and maybe there are some unique and interesting places they could take the next system without repeating what the Switch did. And maybe it doesn't really have to be a Switch-like system at all, although I think it would be really hard to go back at this point. I'm sure they'll throw in a few new things, but I think overall it might not really be that different from what the Switch is now. And I don't know how that's gonna go over. I think people kind of expect Nintendo to do weird things, so if they announce this thing and it isn't much different from the Switch right now, especially after 6 years of the Switch being out, I think people might be a little disappointed. So it's going to be interesting. I think Nintendo realizes they have to make it feel new, more so than the PlayStation and Xbox do, but they also probably can't abandon the switching concept, which drastically limits what they can do. And that begs the question, what can the Switch 3 be? Or the Switch 4? Or the Switch 17? Nintendo's gonna run out of cool ideas to iterate on the Switch idea eventually, right? Will they eventually give up and go back, or give up and just go for more power? I'm asking more questions than I'm answering at this point, so I'll call it a day. Well, I'm Redkwan. What do you think the Switch 2 can be? Do you think it's going to be another system like the Switch, or do you think it'll be something totally different? Which features do you think Nintendo could add? Will any of us be alive for the Switch 17? Which would come out in like 90 years, give or take? Probably not. I'm sure I'll be very dead. Anyways, I'm Redkwan. Thank you all for watching, and I'll hopefully see you all later. Goodbye.